Welcome to another video from Cardboard East. My name's Jay. I play board games from Asia and share what I find with all of you. Today, we're going to talk about a new Kickstarter from Japan that was recently fulfilled, Grow Sky. But first, if you like what you see here and you want to see more, please like, subscribe, and consider supporting this channel through our Patreon. On to the show! Welcome to Grow Sky. Well, at least your player board. This is what you're going to be looking at through most of the game. Let's just break it down really quick here. Here's your airship. Your airship is going to move around your player board like so. Every time you land on something, you will gain that resource. You will not step on these corners, you'll just slide right by them, but then you'll gain that bonus. So these will give you medals, this will give you this component or this action, and this one will give you either of these two actions. And then you'll be moving around here. Now, the other things that you have are these resources. You have fire resource, which is useful for moving around the track. You have this green bird, which is grow. Grow will give you some flexibility throughout the course of the game. You have these little books that come in here to your rudder, and your rudder will turn around, and eventually they'll move up and up and get stronger and stronger. So this is level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3. So this is a book. This is a book. These are half books, so it takes 2 of these to make a book, and none of these are considered books here. This is your engine room, in which case you're always going to be getting these little pieces here that you can kind of Tetris down in here. Every time you cover up a resource, well, hey, you get that resource. You can even upgrade some pieces to get these cuter, bigger, massive shapes, such as this. And if you ever fill up a row, like I just did here, then you'll gain that bonus. You see there are bonuses all the way up here. You even get these skill chips, so if you ever cover up something, then you immediately get those, as I said before. Once this completely fills up, completely all the way, then that triggers the end of the game. If some player gets to 15 medals, and that also triggers the end of the game. I also mentioned that you could also take one of these books. There are lots of things you could do with these, and one of them is that you could even place them here into your engine room to kind of fill this Tetris part of the game. Now, this is printed on here. This is a recessed board, but the game does come with these extra cards here that allow you some, different playing. So it's a little bit different. So like there's books here, there's icons are rearranged in a different way. So you have nice variability there. But this will all make sense once you take a look at the main board. Welcome to the main player board. This is going to be the center of the table, and this is where all the action happens. The first thing that's going to happen is the player, whoever has the first player token. Now this is like a nice little piece of cardboard here. Although for the Kickstarter, you do get this obnoxiously large acrylic piece, which I could take or leave. I think this one is just much easier to see at the table. They're going to take all these 7 dice or 9 dice in a 4-player game, and they're going to roll them out here. And then once they're rolled, players will take turn drafting them and then doing any of these 3 actions. 1, 2, 3. Now, I don't need to go over what each side of the die looks like because, well, they're all right here. And depending on what face it is, if you take a die and you put it there on the development action, well, then you get to take that particular action. So let's go through all of these top to bottom. Steering wheel. You have to add 2 books and then rotate your rudder. So you're going to take 2 blue cubes, add them to level 0, and then rotate your rudder. And if anything comes to level 3, well, then you just put it up here, up top. So that way, when you rotate the wheel, it doesn't knock them out. And there is no limit to level 3s here, even though there is a physical limit capacity. They will stay level 3s. I've never seen someone go over this limit. Search track. You're going to move up the search track 2 times. The search track is something you're going to be moving up quite a lot in the game. So by moving up 2, you just move up 2, and then you gain those resources. Then you rotate that rudder, and then you gain this skill chip. Now, this skill chip can do lots of different things. If you look over here, this is what they all look like here. They're pretty self-explanatory. You get a victory point, you get to rotate your rudder, you get 3 birds, you get to multiply your birds by 2, get 5 fire, multiply your fire by 2. This one is a little tricky. This means that you get 2 fire, and then you get to take a die and change it to any side that you want. Extremely helpful. This gets you a piece for your engine room, and this lets you buy a level 0 tech. Now, I will say that as soon as you get these, you don't automatically use them. You just leave them face down in front of you. And then later on in the game, you can choose to, well, activate this for whatever its value is, or you can use it to fill up your engine room. Now, throughout the course of the game, you will go up this search track all the way here. And then if you notice that you're mostly just resources, and eventually it just so quickly becomes nothing but victory points up ahead. If you are ever able to make it to the end and you gain more movement, well then nothing happens, you just kind of stay there. It's very rare that this actually happens, but it can happen towards the end of the game in final scoring. I do also want to mention that if you were the first person to get here, well, you get 2 fire, and then everyone else will just get 1 fire here. I also want to mention that while this comes with the retail edition, the Kickstarter came with these nice acrylic pieces, which do take up a lot of space and do stack well, but I think I like cubes more here. They don't take up as much real estate, and they're just, well, they're kind of easier to see. Tech. You get to buy 2 tech from the tech board. Now you can buy up to 2 tech. You don't have to buy 2, but I mean, why would you not? The prices are 0, 1, 1, and 2. Now this is 1 book or 1 blue cube. That's at level 2 or level 3 of your rudder. And that 1 cube can only buy 1 of them, not both. Each of these cost 1. Now, why would you be interested in picking this up? Well, let's go back to your player board. These pieces get to be placed onto your player board. So then if you move here, well, then you'll gain that benefit. This one has what? Search track time moving up twice, and then you get to activate that. So if you know that you're going to move maybe 3 or 4, well, then maybe you want to place a piece right here to anticipate that, so as soon as you land, you get to use that ability. Now, you may have noticed that there are 2 colors of tech. There's this yellow and this blue, and they're quite different. The main difference is that when you move your ship, you only get the yellow benefit if you land on it. However, no matter what, if you land or pass through this blue, you're always getting this income, which is probably why that these are a little bit less. Some of the tech have this little lightning bolt on it, and that means that you gain this benefit as soon as you place it onto your board. And then later on, when you land on it, well, hey, you get that bonus too. Now, you may have noticed that this has this little icon here. Well, what does that mean? That means that, well, you could spend, for a free action, you can take a level 3 cube, return it to the main supply, and then you get to flip it over, and then you get to switch it. So this goes from yellow to blue, meaning that every time you pass it, well then, hey, you get to get those resources. Now, some of the blue ones can increase to a better benefit, such as this one, meaning that you just, instead of always getting 1, now you're always getting 2, and now you're just increasing your income. You see here, again, there's the same fire as 1, and then now you can upgrade it so it's 2. So when you make this movement, well, you'll get 1, 2, 3, 4 birds, 1 book, 2 flames, and then you can take a search action or add a component to your engine. Some of the tech looks like this, and this gives you a choice. You can get 2 fire, or you can spend 5 fire and then move 3 times. What's really cool about technology like this is that if you time it right and you have enough fire and maybe grow, let's say I move here, hey, I get to spend flame, I get to move 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, look, I get to spend grow and I get to move 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, look, I get to spend fire and move 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you could combo this, so you could probably just keep going on and on and on, scoring more points, because every time you pass either of these 2 corners, you're getting victory points. Gears. You get to add 2 pieces to your engine room. Now, with your development action, you're going to add these to your engine room. This blue one, you can really do much with it. You'll just have to add it to your engine room. But this one is quite fascinating because you can spend 1 level 3 cube, as you see here, 1 level 3 cube, to upgrade it to this component, or you could spend 3 cubes and upgrade it to this monstrous piece here that's just going to take up lots and lots of space. And don't forget that once you fill up a line, well, then you get these added benefits. Some of these are really self-explanatory. You move up the search track. This is increase your maximum. So if you notice on your rudder, it says max 2. Well, now it's max 3 and max 4. These 3 are victory points. And then this one gives you another skill chip. And again, you could spend that skill chip to add to your engine room, or you could use it later for whatever bonus is there. Don't forget that these level 3 cubes that you have can't fit into these little gaps. Whoever you want, That way, you're always kind of guaranteed to fill up this engine room. And don't forget, it is an end game trigger. Now, once the develop track is full in a 3-player game, this unlocks in a 4-player game. You can no longer take this develop action. But for the sake of argument, the last 2 are quite simple. Here, you place this, and then you get 3 birds. You place it down here, you get 4 flames. Getting grow is pretty simple. You just simply move your cube and move it up. Now, you may be asking why grow is important, and this is why, because you can spend this much grow to take these free actions. You could either get free fire, rotate your rudder, change a die to any other die of your choice, and this one allows you to move your little tech pieces to a different area. You can even move them on top of others, or even move one that's stacked on top of one to another place, giving you lots of flexibility, provided that you have enough grow to get those done. Chances are that the ones that I use the most are rotating the rudder and changing your die. These 2 tend to be the most important. Gaining fire is quite simple. You just simply move up along this track. Now, why is fire important? Well, let's talk about the other action that you can do. Now, we've covered all of the develop actions that you can do. Let's talk about standby really quickly. This just means infinite. That means you could take as many of these dice and place them there, no matter what, even though I don't really see it happen that often. And if you place the die here, well, then you just simply get these 3 resources. Easy peasy. Now, for the flight action, you're going to have to look at your dice a different way. So in the development action is just what you see is what you get. You do put this die here, you get these resources. For flight, you have to look at the number of icons. And this becomes a 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and 4. And that's very important. So when you place your die into flight, and more often than not, it's going to be this one with 4. You place it here. And in a 2, 3-player game and a 4-player game, you follow those numbers and this numbers. In a 2, 3-player game, you place it here. That costs you 1 fire. And then now you move your ship 4 spaces. So again, it costs you 1 fire to put it there. Move your ship 4 spaces. Let's say you place this one here. Well, then you will spend 2 fire and then move your ship 3 spaces. Now, what does this mean here? Well, this is a bonus. That means in addition to this, if you spend 4 fire, well, then you get to move 1 more space. And remember, movement is all about moving your ship around the edge of your player board, picking up resources as you go along, picking up resources passively, or by landing on them and then gaining the corner bonuses. Now, once all the dice but 1 have been placed, well, that signals the end of the round. You're going to take your player marker, and that's just going to rotate around to the next player, and then you're going to refill your tech board. So this is all going to slide over to the right, and you have this really, really nice bag that contains all the tech tiles in there. And I got to say, like, this bag just feels really nice. And it's just, it looks really nice, and it's a really nice quality bag. They didn't skimp on this at all, I'm proud to say. You refill this tech track up, and then you're going to take the dice, and then, well, you'll just roll them again, and then you're ready to begin playing into the next round. Now, the game does come with a nice little player aid to remind you of all the free actions in the game. So like I said before, you could take your skill token and then get that resource, or you can add it to your engine room. As well, your level 3 books, you can add a cube here, or you can spend a level 3 to upgrade one of your tech tiles from level 1 to level 2. Now, throughout the course of the game, there will be these route mission cards that players will be competing over, and it's always going to be the number of players plus 3. And let's take a look at them here. And you can see here the first person to get 6 upgraded techs, well, they'll immediately get this bonus. This little question mark here, it means that this little exclamation point means that you get to keep this card in front of you, and then you can spend it anytime you want, and then you can multiply your grow times 3. Some of them here are forever ability, that meaning that the first person to get 7 books and 9 flame immediately claims this, and then from then on, every time they take this develop action, well, instead of getting 4 fire, they'll get 6 fire. And then there's last but not least is there are these little lightning bolts. So this one is if the first person with 6 tech, upgraded or not, gets 2 skill chips and then return 1 and then keep this 1. And there's quite a few of these. This just means like, can you complete the engine room and can you cover these spaces? And there are quite a few of these throughout the course of the game. And then there does add a lot of variety, or at least variety for the setup. Now, in addition to these route mission cards, there are these goal mission cards. There'll be public and private. Public is equal to the number of players, and private as well, everyone's just going to have 1. Let's take a quick look at them here. This shows you what you're competing over, and this gives you an example. So this obviously is steering wheels and search things on your track, such as up here. And this example shows, oh, this person has 1, 2, 3, 4, has an equal of 4. And you'll see these examples show all the time. This one you can see here is total highest books or cubes. And this example here shows you that this equals to 9. And there are quite a few of these in the course of the game that all highlight different aspects of the game. My personal favorites are the ones that target the engine room, just because I like Tetris. So that's great. You got the highest, but what do you win? You don't win victory points. You win search track points. So if you look here on the main board, well, in a 4-player game, 3-player game, and a 2-player game, well, first place in a 3-player game will move up this track 4. Second place moves up 2. 3 will be 0. And this is different for each of the player counts. And you'll slowly move up the search track. Ideally, you'll be getting more and more of these medals, and because those are the victory points that determine who wins the game. Now, as I said before, there are 2 ways to trigger the end of the game. The first is to fill up your engine room completely, very fulfilling, or getting at least 15 medals will trigger the end of the game, in which case you finish that round. You play one more round with a specialized turn order, and then that's the end of the game. Calculate the highest score wins. Now, the rulebook doesn't say what happens if you get more than 20 medals. I've just been counting up here from the bottom. I have no idea what it does. The rulebook doesn't address that issue, so that's a little bit of a negative. The tiebreaker is especially strange. If you notice here is 4, 4, 8, 8 plus 6 is 14, 14 spaces here. Is whoever is furthest along the track. So this will be, let's say orange player is here on their board, and let's say the green player is here on the board. Well, then orange would win the tiebreaker because they're further along, this being the end, and then this one being the beginning. I do find that a little strange, the rewarding movement, but hey, that is the tiebreaker. If for some reason both players are in the same space, granted they're not going to be on the same player board, but this is just an example. If they're on the same space, well, then it goes by turn order of the last round played. And that is how you play Grow Sky. Oh, one last thing really quick. There is this very odd rule where the person who has the most medals and then the second player who has the second most medals, if the difference between their medal counts is ever 6 or more, well, then this player immediately wins the game. Now, I haven't seen that happen yet. It's gotten really close to happening, but it's never seen that happen. But it's just one of these weird mercy rules that happen in this particular game. And in case you're wondering, yes, there is a solo way to play this game, but I haven't played it yet, so I can't really tell you much about it. And I'll leave you to read those solo rules by yourself, because I don't care about your inner feelings. And the last thing you're going to do with setup is give yourself a personal ability. Now, there are 16 of these. You're going to shuffle them up, give 2 to each player, and then they'll just choose one. And I haven't played with all of them yet, but I have played with quite a few. And some of them I absolutely love and are really good. Some are, well, not that great. Impressions of Grow Sky. Well, theme. There isn't much theme. And that's probably my biggest complaint about the game, is that, well, while there is a theme, it doesn't really integrate well with the mechanisms. But to be fair, a lot of games don't do that, and we're perfectly fine with it. Lorenzo Il Magnifico doesn't really have much of a theme. Azul doesn't have much of a theme. Hansa Teutonica doesn't have much of a theme. Scout, Dominion, Trajan, these are all games that are considered really good by the overall community, but the theme is kind of just like tacked on and really not really there. And that's what I got to say about Grow Sky. Is that a huge deal? Well, in the 2020s, I think theme and gameplay integration is becoming more and more important in the board game industry as well as hobbyists. But overall, to what I enjoy from the game, absolutely not. Art and components. Well, the art is very, very bright, vibrant. Iconography, symbology are super clear to understand. I never really had to look something up to understand what it does and how it affects the gameplay. The only problem I have with the components are, well, the rudder, when you spin it, it sometimes gets stuck, but it's not that big of a deal, like if I'm picking very, very picky, but it seems to work just fine. I like it better than having a hole and like a piece of plastic that goes through and having to deal with all of that. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that. The only complaint that I have is that, well, some of the player boards are warping, but that may be a condition of where I live, like the humidity there, how dry it is here in Tennessee. But there are plenty of big box games that have issues with warping. I think of the first print run of Lisboa, or even more recently, like Galactic Cruise, that has the player board slightly warping. Warping is sort of fun, but it does happen a lot with dual layered boards or recessed boards because maybe the glue just didn't go on right, or maybe they didn't leave it on there long enough, but it just tends to happen over time. I could kind of bend my boards back, but it's not that big of a deal. And considering that is the only problem that I have with the rest of the game, I think it's like a 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10 for me. Now those are all aesthetics, but what about the actual meat? Is there an actual game here? And I gotta say that, yeah, I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. You have dice drafting. I love dice drafting. Dice placement. I love dice placement. You also have engine building, which is a lot of fun. And most importantly, is how they incorporated Tetris into this game. Now, unlike a lot of other games where all of these little mini games are happening, this all flows together extremely well. Like I'm getting these books, I'm rotating my writer so that way I have more level 3 books, which allows me to upgrade my Tetris pieces so I could fill that up more, which is giving me more bonuses, which is giving me more ability to move my ship around, which is letting me get technology, which makes my moving around a lot more beneficial because then I'm getting components like along the way, getting resources along the way, moving the ship a much faster, and everything kind of feeds onto each other. And I was really, really surprised I was really surprised by just how effortlessly smooth the game felt. If I had to make a critique about it, it would be, well, kind of like the same critique that I have with a lot of worker placement games, and that is that, you know, quite a lot of worker placement games, there's usually 1 or 2 actions that just aren't great or aren't interesting and don't get used as often as everything else. Dune Imperium is one of my favorite games of all time, but there are definitely actions on that board, especially with the base game, that you don't visit that often compared to some of the other actions. That's just the nature of the beast of worker placement games. So for this one, is that some of the development locations aren't really that fun or interesting. Yeah, I can move the birds onto the development action and get 3 birds. Okay, and that gives me a little bit more flexibility for the future. I don't really see people taking 4 fires and putting it to development to get 4 flames. I almost never see that happen because you're going to take that die and obviously put it into movement so you can move your ship, 4 times. But that, compared to everything else, is not too much of a complaint, really. So I find this fun, but is it replayable? Well, let's take a look at that. There are lots of different player powers, individual player powers, and I think there's about 16 that come in that deck, and not all of them are great. Some of them are really good, some of them are not great. Some of them, like I said, like you take that development action of getting fire, well, instead of getting 4, now you get 6 fire, and I'm like, is that an action that I often take? Why would I take that action just to get more flames for something else? And it doesn't really, it seems like I'm going out of my way for my benefit as opposed to getting my benefit along the way. So some of those powers aren't as great as others, and I probably will keep them off to the side and not play with them again. Now, there are different goal cards there. So that way, every time you play, you have a different personal goal. There are different community goals that everyone's fighting for. There are different little contracts that people are fighting for. Yes, that does change things, but it doesn't really change the dynamic of how I interact with the game. So while there is variability of every time I play, there isn't much room for me to explore different aspects of the game. It isn't as dynamic, if that's the right adjective I'm looking for. Tactics and strategy. Now, because of what I've been saying before, there are a few strategies that I've seen that are quite successful in the game. Like you can go heavy into books because books can buy those upgraded tiles to make sure that when you're moving around the track, you're doing extremely well. Also, it helps you finish up that Tetris track extremely well. It's extremely fast as well. Now, another tactic that I've seen is people just focusing a lot on grow and getting lots of birds, because then you could spend your birds to move any die into 4 flame and then move that your ship around your board much, much faster. And if you're getting these upgrades, then if you focus on getting upgrades that allow you to move even more or give you a discount on movements, then you could even move like, oh, I move 4, I land on a bonus 1 that lets me spend more flame to move again. And so you could hop like around like maybe 3/4 around your board on just one move action. I've seen that and it's incredibly impressive, very expensive, but really, really cool that there's these things that you can do to kind of set yourself up. I really like how when you get those upgrades that you can choose where they go. You can even stack it on top of another upgrade. And then later on, you can move your upgrades wherever you want. So there's that natural idea of like, well, I'm going to probably move 3 or 4. So I'm going to put this, 3 or 4 spaces ahead of me. Or I'm just going to focus a lot on blues. So that way, no matter where I go, I'm getting something. Or maybe on this one corner where you will rotate your rudder, well then I'll make sure that after I rotate it, there are lots of books. So that way I rotate it, that spot's empty, and I can just fill this up with books. And then later on I can take a rotate action and then rotate it so I'm getting more books. And there's a lot that you could do there with that engine building around that track. And I just find that really fun to revisit every single time I play, try something different with that engine building and seeing if I can win the game with that. Now, that being said, I have noticed that the person who usually wins a lot of the goals, surprise, surprise, tends to win because you do get a lot of, you don't get a lot of points, you do get a lot of movement up the search track. Which leads me to another complaint I have about the game, which includes like this theme, but that's really not that big of a deal, the warped board, so that's not that big of a deal. Some actions not being not useful, but I feel that in a lot of worker placement games. And that is, once you're done with a search track, there's nothing else. Like you just fill it up all the way to the end, and then you don't get a bonus if you're moving up further. So it feels like you're being punished for being very, very efficient or focusing on that in the game. Now, I never really reached the end of the track until the final scoring of the game, but it still feels weird to me that there's nothing else. So like if you get more, then you don't pop out of the bottom and keep on going, or maybe you just start moving backwards. There's nothing there for me to, I don't know, it just feels like there should have been something else added, but there wasn't. It feels like a half complaint. I do apologize about that. Approachability, yeah, this is pretty easy. It's a mid-weight game to be sure. Like you can watch through that tutorial again and get a good idea of what that game feels like, and it's pretty smooth. Now, I will say that the first time you play the game, it's going to take a little bit of time because seeing how everything kind of works together can take a little bit of time. So the first time I played, it was a 2-player game, and that took, maybe 2 hours with the teach to kind of go over everything. But I have knocked it out in under an hour with a 2-player game where both of us knew how to play, and then we just sped through the game lickety fast. Like she drafts this, I draft this, she drafts that, I draft this, and then we just move on forward. So the game does pick up. And there's also this really, really nice momentum through the game. Like that first opening act, you're kind of slowly getting resources, slowly building that engine. Act 2, you're moving up that Tetris, you're filling up your engine room, and then by 3, you're just moving on full steam ahead, just boom, 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 boom. You're just getting everything and fulfilling everything as quickly as you can. And it's fun. Now, I gotta say that a lot of the fun for me is that Tetris engine room. Something about it is just so much fun. Every time I put a piece in, I'm getting resources back. If I fill up a line, well, then I get even more resources, or I get to increase my engine, or I'm getting more medals. Like it's really, really rewarding. The only thing that I have to say that is kind of disappointing is that I don't know how I feel about the skill, the little light bulb tokens giving you victory points. And it's just kind of weird because someone gets it and they don't use it. It's like, okay, well, they obviously have a medal from that. So maybe I should focus on moving my ship around faster or getting more of these things. And it just seems like they randomly got a victory point and other people didn't. And that kind of makes me feel uneasy. I want to play a game where I take all those and remove them and see if that really affects the game. I don't think it does because like you're not really focusing on those those skill chips. You happen to get them, and you only get them through a few places in the game, and then some people get a victory point from it and some don't. That seems just a little bit too random for me, at least for what this game is trying to be. But I did bring up some positives, I didn't bring up some negatives, but I gotta say that this game, it's just fun. Like, I have a lot of fun building up that engine, drafting those dice, moving my rudder and upgrading my resources, and then using those resources to like just fill up my little Tetris engine room and just move around my player board like much faster, and then getting resources. So like everything you're doing, you can upgrade, which just feels so empowering and so much fun to do. I just kind of wish that there was a better theme to kind of marry and integrate more with that gameplay. But I can let that slide because I'm having a lot of fun. So do I recommend this game? It's like, yeah, I recommend it for me. I absolutely do. Hopefully I gave you enough insights to where you can decide if it is something that you would want to play. And I just want to make it another reminder that not every game from Asia comes in a super tiny box. Some of them come in big boxes and are really good. Thanks again so much for watching. Once again, my name's Jay. I play board games from Asia and share what I find with all of you. You made it this far, so please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to see the channel grow even more, please consider joining our Patreon, where you have access to weekly extra content. I'm gonna leave a video up here that I think you'll enjoy. See you there.